Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Sam Witte, and this is my Chapter 10 review over international defense profiles. Mr. Riggler this week gave us 3 questions, as he usually does. And the first one is briefly describe each of the 4 rationales provided when a country decides to use aggressive military force, and provide examples. All right. So we're going to lead off with that. And so the 4 rationales are defense, deterrence, compellence, and swaggering. Swaggering isn't like, hey, I got a gold chain or anything like that, but I'll get to that. So number 1 is defense, which is pretty much defined as like a military force directed to prevent attacks or reduce damage. But then it also says later in the definition, the purpose is to destroy. So for my example on defense, I'm taking mine straight from World War II when we dropped the bombs on Japan, Nagasaki and Hiroshima. Boom. That was the United States version of defense, I'd say. We were attacked first at Pearl Harbor, and we ended the war with these 2 bombs, preventing any more American casualties. So I'd say preventing any more attacks, by bombing Japan like that. But the ultimate purpose was destruction on Japan, which happened through the nuclear explosions. So that's my example for defense. The next is deterrence, and that is to protect the country from attack from adversaries. Involves the threat of military power. The purpose is to ensure behavior. And I took this from the Cold War with the nuclear deterrence. Russia and the United States both building up their nuclear arsenals. They are deterring each other through ultimate destruction. I forgot what they said, ultimate nuclear destruction between the 2 countries, something like that. But yeah, that's the gist of it. They deterred each other from firing nuclear weapons because they knew they'd probably blow up the world if one country launched one. So that's my example for deterrence. Number 3, compellence, deployment of military forces to persuade an adversary to change their behavior. The purpose is persuasion. So for compellence, I chose Trump bringing the entire Pacific Fleet to North Korea's doorstep and parking it in the China Sea when he was doing talks between North Korea and China and all that. And that was kind of him, flaunting his power and showing the world what he has, and he's not afraid to use, considering he brought it halfway across the country. And then number 4 is swaggering. Once again, ain't wearing a gold chain for this one. It's the deployment of military force to enhance prestige, pride, or personal ambitions. This generally does not result in hard combat. So for mine, heading back to North Korea again, said this is just, or I guess Russia does this too, but they'll have like military parades, although they will march their whole military down the Capitol or anything with rockets and stuff, and just flaunting what they have and kind of showing off their military. But yeah, military parades in Russia and North Korea, that is a prime example of swaggering for what I'd say. Okay, so on to question number 2. Question number 2 from Mr. Riggler is, what are your thoughts after watching the TED Talk on nuclear weapons? What should be the international regulation on the use of nuclear weapons? Should the United States be allowed to maintain its nuclear arsenal? How should the world leaders respond to the countries like Iran or North Korea developing nuclear weapons? Okay, there's a lot of different questions in this one question. So let's just start from the beginning. What did I think about the TED Talk? I thought it was pretty informative, honestly. That lady had a lot to say. I don't necessarily agree with everything she says. She kind of had a more liberal point of view than what I hold myself to. Um, she was talking a lot about how we all need to get rid of nuclear weapons and stuff, and all that, which I agree. I do think we need to at least downsize. I don't necessarily think we need to get rid of nuclear weapons, just because nuclear power is already here. Um, so what's the point in taking a step back? It's been weaponized. Why would we unweaponize it? I mean, no one's used. We've used two in actual wars, and the rest is just stocked up, hasn't been used. We might as well keep some around. I mean, yes, I think we should downsize, but I don't think we should get rid of the whole nuclear arms, all of our nuclear arms. Um, and as far as that goes, a couple interesting facts I found. Over 15,000 nuclear weapons reside between 9 nations in the world. That's a lot of boom boom. That is a lot of boom boom. And then I learned that Russia and the United States were actually working together after the Cold War from about 1993 to 2013 for a good 20 years. They were working together. It was called megatons to megawatts. This program was developed between the United States and Russia, and it was turning Russian nuclear warheads, and taking their uranium and turning them into turning it into power through nuclear power plants and stuff like that, which I thought was pretty unique, and I support that actually. Maybe we should bring that back. Maybe more countries should do that, and look at the playbook from a couple of years back and just use that as an example on how to get energy from, a bad place. Next part of the question for number 2. What should be the international regulation on use of nuclear weapons? Well, that's kind of difficult because I don't think there really is any international regulations on nuclear weapons. People know they are very destructive and they can hurt a lot of people. I think that is kind of all the regulation you need for the most part, at least for any democratic country. And most democratic countries, at least as that the United States referred to it, are fairly powerful themselves. So I don't think they'd use them on anybody else unless they really had to. And I don't think anybody's going to be needing to use nuclear weapons anytime soon. So I think what we have as far as international regulations on nuclear weapons is just fine for now. Then again, I also don't know much about those regulations. So, should the United States be allowed to maintain its nuclear arsenal? No offense, but I feel like that's a dumb question. Yes, I believe we should be allowed to maintain our nuclear arsenal. Maybe not. I think we should downsize, but we're not going to get rid of it. That'd be dumb. We are the fairmost powerhouse as far as military technology in the world. We are the top dog, the big man on campus. To get rid of our nuclear arsenal would be to downsize our military significantly, and I honestly think countries such as North Korea and Iraq, Afghanistan, Iran, all the countries that we are semi-threatened by, would not take us seriously anymore if they knew we were doing that. So it's more for everybody else's safety in the world, and United States citizens' safety that we do not get rid of it, and we maintain, maybe downsize a little bit, but maintain our nuclear arsenal. How should the world leaders respond to the countries like Iran and North Korea developing nuclear weapons? Keep a close eye on them, like we have been doing. I know there's a whole bunch of sanctions on Iran and North Korea as far as that kind of stuff. More on Iran than North Korea. We can't really control North Korea, that being a dictatorship at all. But Iran, we do have a say in, and we have set several sanctions on them, and what they're allowed to do with their nuclear technology. So I think we're heading in the right direction on that. As far as North Korea, we just can't back down. They gotta know who daddy is, and that's us, the United States, baby. And for the third and final question from Mr. Riggler, it is to describe the two recent articles from the Wall Street Journal related to this chapter topic. And mine are definitely related. Russia blames the U.S. for not doing enough on the new nuclear treaty. So this article is basically about Obama signed a nuclear treaty in 2010. It expires in 2021. Trump, being the new president, he really doesn't wish to re-sign this treaty. This treaty is known as the New START, New Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty. Cool acronym. I'll give it to him. But yeah, Trump is not looking to, as far as what I got from the article, he's not looking to re-sign this treaty. He feels like it's a one-sided treaty that benefits Russia and China, honestly, too. So why should it benefit them and not us? And pretty much it comes down to all three countries, China, Russia, and the United States, all need to downsize to the same amount of nuclear weapons. That's kind of what I got from the article, and Russia wants the United States to downsize, but if we downsize, we'd have less nuclear weapons than Russia, and that's just kind of unfair on the world stage, which I understand. So that's pretty much what the first article I got was about. The second one was about the Colombian defense minister resigning over a deadly attack. So there was a bombing that the defense minister authorized, obviously, in southern Colombia, bombing a drug trafficking ring in the jungle. Anyway, he bombed this drug trafficking cartel ring, whatever, and killed several children. I think the first number they said was eight children between the ages of 12 and 17. And he knew about this and stuff. He did not know children were present, and he took a step back, and his actual words were, "It's my duty as defense minister to adequately read the political situation. So I have decided to submit my resignation." Those are his words when he submitted his resignation. So apparently he thinks he misread a political situation in trying to stop some drug cartels, and I don't know if he thought that he had the green light to do whatever it takes to do so, but I think the bombing is a little overboard. If he knew where the drug cartel was, I think he probably should have sent some armies in there and disrupted, and at least got the kids out or anything like that. Minimal casualties as far as like women and children go, because I just think that's super messed up. He says he didn't know there were children in that working for or being forced to work for this drug trafficking ring, and he just he did what he had to do. But he has already submitted his resignation and is resigning currently in Colombia, and that's what that second article is about. And with that, I have finished my 3 questions from Dr. Riggler. I'm Sam Witte, and this is Chapter 10 International Defense Profile video. Thank you for joining me.